hit him all the time. Whenever my dad talked back, Sean would hit him.
Did you tell anyone?
My dad said it would stop. My mom, she said it was my dad's fault. He picked on Sean.
Was that true?
Dad would do anything Sean wanted, anything.
Maureen, we've heard testimony that last February your father broke his collarbone. Could you tell us how that happened?
Sean took $200 from my mom to buy clothes. And my dad said it was too much. So Sean hit him with a tire iron.
And last April, we heard that your father was taken to the hospital with a burn on his back. How did that happen?
There was a vacant apartment upstairs. And Sean wanted my dad to ask the landlord for it, so we wouldn't live in the basement. My dad said no. Sean called him a coward. He followed him to the boiler room. And he pushed him against the pipe. And I tried to stop him. My dad was just screaming. And Sean just held him there.
Maureen, even then, you didn't ask anyone for help. Why?
I was afraid.
Afraid of what?
I don't know. That Sean would be taken away. My mom and dad would break up. I didn't know what would happen.
Maureen, thank you. Your witness.
Maureen, do you get along with your brother?
No.
Isn't it true you resent your brother, that you feel he got everything from your parents and you got nothing?
No.
So you're not envious of him? Well, that's hard to understand. Did you run away from home several times?
Couldn't stand being there. Couldn't stand.
Your brother being so successful. How much do you hate him? Enough to invent things that aren't true? Enough to make up these stories?
Objection.
Enough to lie to this court?
Your Honor, he is quietly badgering the witness.
Sustained.
If your brother goes to jail, Maureen, then you get all the attention that you want. Isn't that right?
Your Honor.
Withdrawn. No further questions.
I've always said my husband was a good man.
When your husband was violent, did you consider professional help? A psychiatrist, perhaps?
We wouldn't do that. Sick people go to them. My husband wasn't sick.
Did your son ever hit your husband?
Sean never defended himself. Only this time.
Thank you, Mrs. McKinnon. Your witness.
You, Mrs. McKinnon. A doctor testified that your husband's injuries were caused by assault and not by accident. Is she lying?
Yes, she's lying.
Your daughter said that your son repeatedly attacked his father. Is your own daughter lying?
Yes, she's lying.
Mrs. McKinnon, isn't it true that your son took control of your family and you couldn't stop him? And can you give us one reason to believe that these witnesses are lying and you are telling the truth?
Because I'm his mother.
But isn't that all the more reason for you to say anything at all to protect him? Thank you. No further questions.
It wasn't easy. I still loved my dad.
Even though he beat you?
I didn't blame him for it. He had a hard life. He worked hard for us.
Tell us about that night.
He asked me to help him fix the boiler, and I liked doing it. It made me feel useful to him. And I had this pair of pliers, and I dropped them, and he lost his temper like usual out of nowhere. And he swung at me. He hit me in the arm, and I fell down, and then he hit me again. I don't know what happened then. I guess all those times he beat me, I think I grabbed the hammer, and I must have hit him. I don't remember it. All I remember is the blood.
Thank you, Sean. No further questions.
Mr. McKenna, how did you feel after you killed your father?
I don't remember.
How did you feel when you dragged his body 36 feet to the service alley? How did you feel when you cleaned his blood off the hall? And when you broke the window to make it look like a burglary?
I don't remember any of
Do
it.
you remember shoving him up against a steam pipe?
No.
Do you remember hitting him with a tire iron?
No.
Would you please tell the court what you wrote on your college financial aid application under the heading of father's occupation? Didn't you write building manager? Why didn't you write superintendent?
I wanted to get the scholarship. It sounded better than super.
But you said you were not ashamed of your father and that he was jealous of you, right?
Yes, it wasn't my fault. It was something I had to live
Didn't
with.
you have to live with the fact that he paid for your prep school tuition and that he worked 12 hours a day to put expensive clothes on your back?
I worked hard, too.
Did you?
I helped with the building. I helped my sister out. I got into Princeton in spite of...
In spite of what? Of what he was?
No, I didn't say that.
You claim that you loved your father.
I did love him.
How do you show your love? By hiding your father from your friends and by telling him that he's not worth anything. You may call that love. Most of us call that shame. No further questions.